Welcome in to this most contemplative beginnings of chest opening and deeper stretch into the lungs and the respiratory muscles. So we're going to start with our bolster across the mat, and then we got a couple blankets behind with a space between for your arms. And I find that sometimes I'll get these closer together and I'll kind of play with it, but you can do that once you lie back, right? Don't even anticipate what that's going to feel like because it's a different day. It's another day and it might feel different than the last time. Sometimes we assume that we set up the same exactly every time for the same pose, but find out. You're going to have your block under your seat. So I would say just lift up on that block so the tailbone is sensing a little bit of pressure. I feel the pressure on the sacroiliac right here. And then when I lower back with my knees bending, I'm going to stay with them bending for some time because I want to settle my pelvis and my ribs. And sometimes I get a little caught here where I'm anticipating getting back like right away. You can put your head back so you alleviate the neck pressure and still work with this block situation and the bolster. Okay. So the feet could be set out with a little bit of turning out. They could also be parallel. But as you're settling back, the weight of your body relaxes on all these props. So if there's a prop that doesn't feel supportive for you, or it's kind of pushing into you in an uncomfy way like the block can be, I would say, maybe you slide back a little bit, but don't put your tailbone on the bolster. Okay. If it still bugs you, you could put a little towel on top of the block, right? Don't want it to bug you, but I do want you to have some separation from tailbone to the ribs with the props. All right, so grab a sandbag if you have one. Place it either across where the diaphragm flows down at the belly for diaphragmatic focus. If you're used to having the sand higher where the ribs intersect, you might like that. I'm so used to doing that. And then studying a little more about sandbag breathing, recently getting out the manual is like, well, really the emphasis in the studies was that it's at the belly. So when you in-breath, right, you're stretching, the diaphragm moves down and you're creating tone and resistance for the abdominal muscles, but mostly the respiratory muscle. Okay, arms open. Decide if the blanketing is too high or if you need to push one back. Right? We don't want to feel like we're tightening in our neck, but also not over flexing. So let the chest stretch open, feeling that expansion. And in some ways, it's an energy that you have to receive for this. It is taking some energy to work this big with the chest, but there's also some relief that comes from it. For being able to attend to the circulation in the ribs. Now you can let your legs stretch down, right? You don't have to have your feet on the floor with the soles of the feet down. You get to choose. And if you stretch them down and it's a little bit of pressure in your back, well, come back to bending the knees, soles of the feet down, or take cobbler's pose with the soles of the feet together, knees out. Sometimes that actually can create an intriguing correction into what can feel unsettling in your back. Resting your eyes, maybe an eye pillow is on, maybe you need that to kind of get into the practice. Arriving can be the hardest part. And making a decision how to settle the bones completely. No holding. Let the props hold you and begin to receive the practice. Remember, you have three options with the legs. They can be soles of the feet down, knees up, resting together or apart, legs extending down, or cobbler's pose, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Plenty of options. Okay, now those of us that have the legs extended, gonna feel the leg parts. Not only is it feet that help us feel our leg parts moving, but it's the abdominals and the kind of deeper into psoas and attachments on the lumbar spine, right? So you might feel if you open out through the arms, you might even decide you're going to stretch the arms straight behind you, okay, and see if that even offers some movement in the quads or the hip flexors. I mean, I don't get that response in my legs. I have to just give myself time in the pose for them to release. It's usually patience for it to occur. So let's receive about another maybe 8 breaths or so. Maybe relax the feet out. Just feeling the openness across the chest. In a few more moments, we're going to basically come into our pelvis on top of the bolster. So kind of notice right now, the pelvis is a little below, right? The tailbone, that zone. And you may have the sand on you, okay? So when you slide the sand off, craft the movement. I mean, it's your body to craft movement. So motion is lotion, right? It's kind of interesting. I walk my feet back so the knees point up. I go down to one blanket only, and I position the blanket a little bit back because when I slide back, I don't want my neck on the blanket. Okay, so I kind of push it right from the occiput, like far back as it can go. It feels like it's kind of half on my head. Okay. Now, as you walk your feet in, you're going to push the bolster down. Now, here's the two options on this one. You can slide back or you can push your bolster. Now, because I don't want to slide off my mat, I like to choose push the bolster just a little bit at a time, and maybe just one push. And then as I lift my feet up, and then I feel, okay, now the arch, I feel a little bit, a faint sensation of the block, which is good. Okay. Don't want to be on the block. Don't want to be pushing and relying on it because it's not as reliable as my bolster. But as I get the ball, or if you don't have a ball, use a block between the knees. You're going to stretch your arms out straight out to the sides, like the shape of the letter T. And then as the hips mobilize and the legs go side to side, feel now that there's even more openness at the chest. Okay? Yeah, stay reclining, stay on the back going side to side. So what I find interesting, even on the last pose, where I did feel a little bit more openness in my chest when I had the bolster under, I'm just coming up because I want you to feel that this chest area gets a stretch just as well as the lower parts, right? The hips, the pelvis. So when the flow directs back to the heart now a little bit more actively because your legs are lifted, feel like it's kind of easeful. We just go side to side. We push a little bit into the ball, just the right amount, side to side. Okay, and feel how the waist stretches just a little bit on the side band of the waist. The obliques feel the stretch. Right? So go slow, side to side. Slow it down so you get all the side abdominal energy you can get. Side abdominally. Okay. And just take a couple more. I actually like this. I would stay with this one for a while. Just feeling the sensation in my abdominal stretching. Okay, now with having the legs, right, it's kind of interesting how they kind of help you flow in your middle. And now remove the ball and get a belt and buckle up. Okay, so you got the belt connected in a kind of a massive loop. Is that the right description for a massive loop? Not sure. Okay, so scoop up your feet, lift up the feet so you stretch up, and then as you move your legs out in the massive loop, I like that massive loop. Make sure it's not too wide. Okay, so I have my feet in the belt and they are relaxing out. I'm not in my leg float. I'm not trying to turn them in, turn them out. I'm just going to let them be feet without being stepped on. Thank goodness. And I'm going to snug up this massive loop so it's a little bit more mediocre. And then take the time for these legs to just reverse the directional flow in the muscles of my legs, right? You know, whether they feel like they're tired or not, they could always use this reverse flow, okay? And so we got our legs lifted. Now, you might find that the hips are not feeling the same pull they did with the knees side to side, but this is a pretty good hip opener, isn't it? I mean, I find that we have the side category of the hip, and then the kind of place that we forget sometimes is the adductors, kind of our primary hip muscles, because we like to feel those, you know, the lateral rotator stretch as well. So we tend to go to the sides quite a bit. But let the inner leg kind of receive that reverse flow, because that's where there's that lymphatic, the lymph collector site in the inner thigh, upper inner groin. And then your arms could be reaching back. I kind of like this one where I get a block, okay, place it center of hands, hold on to it, and wide setting, and then move overhead and resist the movement of my legs moving back. Okay, so I don't want to move them far away because that would strain my back quite a bit. So I hold onto the block so I can compute balance in the shoulders and the arms. Yeah, if you happen to have a blanket back there, you might use it. It might be kind of helpful. You can just put the block on top of it and not have to do as much efforting. Okay, but push a little bit into that block if you're using that. If that hurts your shoulders, don't do it. You can also hold the block straight towards the ceiling and take some time to feel into the workings of the shoulder. Like, why does it feel cranky overhead? Maybe it's arthritis, right? There could be lots of reasons, but maybe it's an injury. So you don't have to have it straight behind you. Okay, just know that. But try to hold on to a block. Receiving for a few more moments. The leg flow, the reverse directional flow back to the heart and the lungs. I know you may have many things in your mind that you need to do or so forth, but let your body receive the practice. Just go, okay, happy heart, happy lungs. Maybe this can get my mind to calm in this few moments, okay? And now try moving the block up, straight up, and then you're going to bend your elbows. Some of us know this from like doing work for the triceps. You know, bend the elbows like you're trying to put the block on your forehead, right? And push into the block, right? Squeeze it. I know it's not going to change the block size. And then as you come back up, in breath, belly full. And exhale, belly relaxes towards the spine, move the block overhead. Try to hold it up over the blanket or the floor so you're not dropping it. Create a little tone in the arms. Okay, and then move the block straight up. You can bend your elbows as much as you need. And then place it beside you. And bend your knees and reach up to the belt and pull. So the feet come together. Now my feet are now together, but I'm kind of letting my legs kind of launch a little bit down. Not a whole lot. They're still pretty vertical. Actually, they're not perfectly vertical. It's one of the positives in the Zoom. You can see, oh, I guess I think I'm vertical, but I'm not. Okay, so lower down the left leg and hold on with both hands. Don't put the belt behind your head yet. Just hold with both hands and move the belt on the foot to where it feels like, I can feel my calf stretching. Even though the belt's on my foot, my calf is stretching a little bit. Okay, so feel that kind of, how does it receive? Right. So I feel like I'm always forever the curious person on these simple things we do. Like, okay, if I move it a little bit to the ball of the foot, if I move it kind of down a little bit on the arch, am I moving it to my heel? Do I need to feel the calf that much? Is that helpful for my psyche? I mean, I want to feel just the right amount that I can almost relax into. Okay, now those of you that are interested in brain float, go for it. Some of us maybe some days you don't when you do this, but I think the one offering you might want to apply on this one would be a sandbag. And so if you can get that sandworm over on top of the left thigh, have your sand on the left quadricep. So you might place it kind of more hip and a little bit down the top thigh muscle. It's nice weight bearing for the femur, right? So if anything, apply it for weight. And as you're holding, if you decide to put the belt behind your head, not your neck, big important reminder there, the belt does not go around your neck, it goes around your head. Okay, so as you lower your head back, or the belt gets around the back of your head, you lean back and you might let your arms open. You might decide, I think I'd rather hold the belt. So you be the decider whether you hold it and stretch it back overhead, or you have your belt to the center of the back of your head. And feel as you push into your foot the energy of elongating a back side of a leg and a front side of a leg. That's it. Simple. So the left foot might turn out kind of excessively in some ways. So you might just reach down through the heel and see if you can position. You don't have to stare at your foot because that might be a strain already. But just feel when you move your foot a little out to the left side. If you feel like you're turning it inwards, it's probably just straight up. And rest back and breathe. And feel the energy settling the brain and the support of the belt holding. It's not the only thing that's holding your head up, right? It's the powers of the leg. If anything, it's kind of interesting, right? To use the levers in service to the brain and the neck, and let your head relax back. Now, if the last few moments you feel like you're kind of just a little bit holding your neck, you might just bring your hands inside and right palms together right in front of your forehead inside the belt loop. And then push back with the web space between the thumb and the index to take the belt off your head. Let your head relax on the blanket and just hold and reach. Okay, just let your chin maybe lift up, maybe relax, nod it side to side. Yeah, do the full deal to get out of it. The full message of traction into relaxation. Okay, now as we get ready to shift, let's do a little movement with this right leg, just because it's already held with a belt. It's already held up. Okay, so walk your hands up onto the belt. If you have it still behind your head, slide it off, and bend the left leg. Okay, if there's weight on it, good for you. You got a little resistance on it. It'll fall off in a moment. And then as you cross the right leg over, I feel like I need to move it Depends on where you're at with it. Cross the right leg over, but bend the left leg as you cross the right leg to the left. Now, I commonly see this one where people have the left leg still efforting, and then you can't really cross over in the hip stretch. So give yourself a lot of freedom with the left leg bending, and then that kind of rotation. We learned this when we had the ball between the knees and we were going side to side previously. Okay, we had that movement, but we sometimes forget it, even though our muscle memory has it. Up here doesn't remember. So try to go with your muscle memory. Okay, work on that. Okay, and as the leg crosses over, part of that is coordination. Let your head roll to the right. If the blanket's too much lift and elevation of your head, then you can always get rid of it. Okay, a little bit of padding with just your mat is okay. You decide. And feel the waist and the hip stretch. Okay, now bend the right knee, come back center, take the right leg up with your right hand holding it, slide the left foot off the floor, bring the knee in towards your chest, hold it, and then let the right leg stretch out and the left leg. So if you didn't have the belt on your foot, you'd have the same range with each leg. Well, at least from the groin to the knee, okay? So, and this left leg is not straight, right? So if it's a bit tough on your knee, you could hug the back of the left hamstring. Sometimes that feels kind of interesting for traction in the hip and the adductor. I like that. I guess that's a hip muscle too. We'll just say hip. Okay, I think I like this a lot, holding the back of the thigh. Probably not a good idea to squeeze your knee and bother it any more than it's already bothered. And then let the abdomen move with the breath. Feel a few moments here. And as you're pulling, you're going to move the right leg up, and then you're going to switcheroo to brain float side 2. Right leg down. I would say get your sand, and you got to get it from that other side probably. So take it on through the middle to that right thigh, top of the thigh, whatever thigh is revealed, right? That's where you go. And then you take the massive loop. Now, it does need to be pretty massive to hold the back of your head. So if you find, maybe side 1, you noticed at the end of the brain float, yeah, maybe I am holding a little bit in my, maybe I am contracting. So you might even bring your hands to the muscles on the side of the neck and just feel, do you need to make the loop a little bit bigger? Do you like a little bit of, I kind of like a tiny bit of resistance so I have traction, right? I don't want it to just flop down. Yeah, I kind of go in phases. Sometimes I like my head completely on the blanket and just a subtle nudge with the belt, like a little traction. And sometimes I like to feel more of the leg pushing into the belt. Now, the hyperextension is a thing on this one. So when you're upside down, that's a little bit more okay, right? Versus standing on the foot and jutting the knee back. But you still have to be cautious about how this is projecting the energy in the muscles of the leg, right? So if I do kind of a little micro bend of my left knee, then I kind of feel the muscles in my leg a little bit better, right? Otherwise, they're just not really activating at all. So have a little soft this awareness of the knee. You might even wake up, the leg muscles a little bit. And then as your arms stretch open, you have your sand on the top of the right thigh. And once you've checked all those boxes, you can just be. Heck, maybe this foot doesn't really feel like it does any turning out. If I'm feeling this foot a little different response, like it's following the rules. breathing. You can always test the belt a little bit by leaning back if you choose, or pushing the foot into the belt. Maybe you prefer that. Yeah, I like to have a little energetic feel in this one, not trying to numb out. I like some muscle energetic. That kind of keeps me kind of meditating on the parts of the body it's focusing on. And that's what I like. All these shapes we go into is a meditation on the parts. Okay, now reach inside the loop to your head, right? Go in between with the palms together, and then slide the belt off the back of your head. Stretch your arms back so the palms seal together. I mean, your arms might be bending, elbows might bend, arms might straighten. That's what they like to do. That's all they know. Okay, and then feeling that pull in the ribs. Okay, now bend the left knee a little bit. Walk your hands up the belt, and you're going to push the sand off the right thigh and cross the left leg over. Now, maybe bending the bottom leg first is the best practice. I bend the bottom leg, and then I cross the left leg over to the right. Yeah, right hand holds, that's important. So your left arm is opening the chest. And kind of feel about this waist. I mean, what's interesting is since the hip is up on the bolster, it's already going to give you a little bit more of it's kind of satisfying because just the elevation is going to it's going to be a little more encouraging for the hip direction. But it is a slant board, right, down to the opposite of prolapse, right? So I'm a big fan of these mild inversions for the for the organs, for the pelvic floor. But if you're kind of tugging a lot and it's uncomfortable, just bend the knees a little bit more. Don't feel like you have to overwhelm your hip and your knee. If there's anything that's painful, like you come out of it, you redirect yourself, or you come out of it entirely. Okay. There's no pose police. Okay, so as the right leg is bending, I'm going to try focusing on the bottom leg a little more on this switcheroo. So when you take that left leg, carry it over like it's on a leash. Hold onto the belt with the left hand. Now the left leg stretching out. Now the right leg on the floor, the foot on the floor is bending the knee out. I just slide the foot up. I actually like this block. It kind of helps me get to the next move, and then hold the knee with the right hand and let the leg stretch out. It might be a little different on side two, like even though you still had both legs moving out last side. Maybe, right, getting this side of the pelvis more balanced. Come into it like it's like the first time you've ever explored the stretch, and you're just very curious how to find expansion across the sacrum, so the base of the spine, into the corners of it, right, out into the pelvis. So we're not trying to jam up the sacrum area here. Just let it relax on the bolster. And just take a few more moments here. And if you decide, I don't want to do this shape, you don't have to. You can bring the knees back in, take both feet up in the belt, push the feet out. It's completely an outline of using the belt. That's what I like to remind you. I try to do outlines. We go chest opener today, then inversions. You can do inversions of choice when you already have the bolster under you. Let's move the leg back center if we haven't already. Bring both feet up into the belt, into the massive loop. The final massive loop, leg float now. So I'm going to let go and just let the legs flow out and start to move my feet. So you can't maybe see, but I'm circling my feet, just rotation, both directions. Getting some movement through the ankles. And it's a little awkward, I have to say. But, the belt is actually kind of holding them. It's a little placeholder here for my feet. Feeling the movement. And then shake it out. Maybe a little leg tantrum. Leg tantrums feel much easier when they're closer. So bend the knees, take the hand, hold on to the belt pole. And then as you bend the knees once more, take the loop off. So no more massive loop. Off your feet. And then you can have a leg tantrum. Shake it out. Take the legs to stretch up. This tantrum feels a little bit easier than the legs wide. Okay. Now as you kind of, let the legs just kind of jiggle a little bit, you might feel like the ankles have a little bit of mobility and the knees, right? Those are those two spots there. Now, feeling a little tingling in the feet. We're going to lower down the feet and we're going to start to come into side sage on the left rib space, okay? So roll, let the knees go left, and you're going to let the hips center down. Come on into your side sage. If you have a round bolster, use that. If you don't, I'm just going to use my flat standard bolster. Works pretty good. Other things you could do to make more height here is you could add the blanket might be too bulky, but you could use like a towel, like a beach towel, if you're feeling you want to get more rib stretch and FYI. And then we're going to add our blankets, stack them up. You're going to want a couple of them. Make them about as high as your bolster, sometimes a little higher, you'll find out. And then get a block on the other side of the blankets. And then grab your ball and your sandbag if you have one. So as you get your sand, I missed that. Okay. That was interesting. Can everybody see me again? Okay. How very odd. I can see Cynthia, but not me. Okay. I'm going to be careful here. Can you see me? Okay, that was weird. Zoom is going through some phases now. Okay, so ball goes, wait a minute. I know some of you are already inside stage. Wait. Get the ball at your ribs. Don't get into relaxation yet. Okay, so ball at the ribs, thighs resting together. Okay, elbow on the floor, and you're gonna turn the chest open and then rotate back down. So all you're doing is you got your ball at your ribs and you're twisting. That makes sense? You're creating motion through the chest and then rotating back in. Okay, now this is going to feel like a what is the point moment. That's what I find on this one. But it's a nice little circulation event for your side of your ribs. Because when we get on the bolster, that's sort of not going to tickle the ribs very much, right? But the ball kind of pushes the skin around a small amount in the left side. Yep, so it's not quite on like your spleen, right? It's kind of close, but you're squeezing right into that area with the ball pushing up. Okay, last one. Okay, take the ball and place it under the inner right knee, and then grab your sand, place it on that right hip, and down we go, stretching the right arm overhead. Okay, now the block might be a sufficient amount of support. It might be, even if you stack all the blocks in the world, maybe your arm isn't meant to be going that direction today. So you decide. What I need to find is supportive is getting my neck in the right position so I don't feel like it's pulling my neck. So I'm going to fold my blanket one more time and then just let my chin move down a little bit. And then I feel like, got it, my neck is okay. So left arm is on the floor, right arm is either reaching overhead or it's moving, opening the chest, circling a little bit around, flowing through the upper side of the waist. Just breathe. And just feeling that it might not be a deep feel in your hip, but you are trying to get some of the side band of the body, which will eventually include our hips, right? When we do our rotators. So just settle in and let the props totally support you. And that might mean the arm is not overhead. If this is straining you, Just put that arm down by your side or on the bolster. Now, keeping the movement of the side channels of the torso aware. I mean, we use our extremities so much to get ourselves around. So you're going to be using your upper extremities to get yourself to the twist, but the lowers can kind of be passive. Okay, so of course you might move the ball away. So if the arm is overhead, I would then lower it down to move the sandbag off the hip or the side that you have it, and then start rotating and feel that you're moving from your spine. And what does that mean, right? So I'm going to move the ball away. My legs are going to get a little bit more cozy. I'm not going to have my right leg stretching back. I'm going to bring the right thigh to the left foot. And then as I turn to sleeping sage, I'm going to be really curious about moving from my spine, right? So I'm going to pivot the bolster on top of one blanket and one blanket on top of the bolster on the short end. And then as I turn with my hands actually helping me quite a bit more than I should use them, I know. I need to feel like I'm in a little bit of an up dog, right? An up dog requires hands, I suppose, right? But the energetic of it requires this kind of insight, kind of contemplating this core motion and twist. And then as you rest down anytime on the bolster and the blankets, let your head turn to the right possibly and relax the shoulders. And if this blanket on top makes it uncomfortable for your neck, you can push it off the bolster and make your own decision. Now, if you have a round bolster, I don't recommend it for this pose. I would use a flat in a heartbeat, but if you want to be, just be curious about using your round bolster, that's okay. But I mean, it might be an interesting stretch on the kind of, it creates this kind of ledge, right, from your ribs up. But I don't know, you want to probably relax the heart a little more easily now. So as I stretch down into the twist, I just determine the length of my breath. In the beginning, I try to do, maybe a little bit more lengthy exhale, and then just let it go. Just relax without any timing that you have to have. Just let go. Yeah, there needs to be a certain amount of expansiveness with the arms. You don't want to have them too close to the bolster because you tend to scrunch the shoulders to the ears. So you want to have, try to let the arms stretch out and feel what is the right range for you. Okay, it's going to be different for everybody. Some people teach this with blocks under the elbows. Okay, and I don't mind it actually. I find it kind of interesting for relaxing my wrists, so you could have blocks under the elbows. Some people find that's too much on the shoulder joint. Some we've done it the other way so long, why would we change, right? So you could try different ways. You could have your wrists supported, but the block's only going to support so much length on an arm. You can try and just see, oh, that's good. My wrists can relax. They're always active all the time. Just let them go. Okay, but most of us need to rest our back more, right? So if the elbows are up, it could grip the back. So finding that position, just a few more moments. Feel if your hip is trying to lift up and grip. See if you can just sink into that left hip. It's kind of it's a pre-pigeon pose, isn't it? How the weight is on the hip. And then just slide your hands back. And then as you turn, we're going to try a little bit of hands, knees. Now, if it's not possible for you to use the leg portion, the feet or something, you can do a couple things with this. You could be prone on the bolster. Let's say you're like, nope, can't put my weight on the knees. This isn't working. You could be prone on the bolster and focus here, right? Just breathing. Now, if you could be hands, knees, it's different. Hands under shoulders, round your back into cat pose, chin to chest. And really feel that spine energy. Yeah, I don't give the spine enough energetic time to move around like this. And I think it's important to, you can feel, I mean, I think we take it for granted sometimes. It's movement potential. So feel the arch, feel the traction through the pelvis. Yeah, it gets more interesting with time. Feel the chest stretching. And last one, just cat, cow, just curling cat. And then as you feel that arch through the spine, okay, and then let's all come into an up dog of choice. Now, I actually like the bolster across sometimes more than lengthwise. I think they're both good. What I like about the bolster across is it easily holds both of my hip points, right? Both thigh lids are easily held. If the bolster's this way, it's kind of like I'm kind of straddling the bolster in some way here. I've liked both for different reasons. When I'm hanging out and doing notes, I always do this. I'm usually just like this, keeping this lower back area with a little bit of, accountability, I would say. Like this is a good way because we're usually not letting that area get that length. So hands underneath the shoulders, lifting up in the chest. And as you're breathing, just what would you do if you were going to try to hold this one for 5 minutes? We're not going to hold it for 5, but what would you start to recruit, right, in your muscles? Let's just say you needed to do that. So you might find, okay, I'm going to reach up through my sternum. I'm going to press into my arms. And if your arms they're fatigued, it's just too much fatigue is setting into your wrists, it hurts. You can still do this one with your elbows on the ground and keep that arch. Elbows on the blocks, elbows on the ground. Okay, really inquire in the spine and then come back to table, okay? And round the back to cat. So spine stretch, woo, you can even wag your tail and then arch the spine. Okay, last one for last cat, curl and cat. And then back to center. Awesome. Okay. Move the bolster center. If you got a round bolster, grab that. Come into side sage on the right hip. Perfect. Okay, so spine has had a little bit of motion. Our spines are happy, even though we may not feel like they're specifically telling us they're happy. Okay, block on the other side. Now, I sometimes teach this, get 2 blocks, but I just find that if the block is going to help my shoulder feel more access to stretching, one is probably enough, or I don't use it. I don't always like it. Okay. So rib pressure. So ball at the ribs. I'm going to put the thighs together and then open and turn. Okay. And actually on this side, what I'm liking a little bit more is I'm kind of holding the bolster with my right hand. I never tried that one before. I think that's a nice kind of foundation for this movement. So kind of feel as you're, and the one thing you might forget about is really use this ball to push into. I mean, you're not trying to pop it on this one because you probably won't be able to with this positioning, but really try to get some movement in the ribs with that ball. Okay. Breathe. It only helps. maybe one breath per movement in this one. In breath, out breath. And this is a twist, right? So it's consciously rotating in the thoracics, in the cage, the rib cage. Okay, and as you settle back, put the hand to push down, lift up, take the ball, place it under the inner left knee, lean your waist on the bolster, grab the sandbag, apply it to the left side. It could be anywhere side, right? And I like a little more blanket for my neck support, but anywhere on the side, right? It could be hip, it could be across, lengthwise on the side. Some people put their sand really high up and just kind of work their way. And then they like how that stretches the shoulder area and the rotator cuff. It just gives a little bit of a nudge in there. That's usually a little, just kind of tender for some of us. I like the weight bearing from my hip. I'm about the bone density here. I'm just going to put on my hip because I know I don't need that focus on my ribs. I'm breathing. That area's got a lot of life force in it, but the hip, yep, put a little bit of life force into the hip. Maybe as you stretch the left arm overhead, it's up to you. If you're not going to reach for the block, that's okay. You don't even ever have to do that. You can just let the left arm open. Yeah, and then as you feel that movement in the shoulder, kind of circling. If you're moving your arm, some of us are going to stay reaching, and that's that. We're going to touch onto the block, a block near you, and then relax the neck. Breathing slow. Now weight into that right hip, body weight, opening up the left arm. Okay, now feel when you go into your directionally, you start to come into sleeping sage, or it's a twist, right? It's kind of nice to counter twist, like opening out. So this going left, and then I'm going to be turning to the right. So it's kind of that twist I think of as like blender, mixing, circulation, steeping. So when we do, and squeezing, so when we take the sand off, you just take your time, just roll into the bolster. And if you got a round bolster, you might change it out for the flat one. And then we're going to pivot. So my left thigh gets closer to my right, and you might stack the thighs, so to speak, like a fetal position. But when you take the bolster to pivot that on the blanket, you want to kind of find the way of the abdominals to stretch. I mean, they're kind of in the middle of it all. The organs, the precious organs are in the center of all, right? And your extremities help you with circulation in general. So when you lean in, find the positioning of the ribs straight on down. Feel the ribs in the back opening, and then the hands down. Now, I decide the blocks under my hands just prevent me from opening my back personally. It kind of grips it. That's just me. That's how, maybe I have a little bit more, I guess, tendencies to tension tendency. A tendency to easily be tense. Okay, so for me, arms down, better. for some of us, our wrists are bugging us, or our thumbs, or we have issues in the joints. So maybe having the arms up on the blocks is better, right? Everyone's gonna have a different um, need in this one, and some of us just to turn the volume down and take a nap. Okay, so relax the throat, right? Endocrine glands, the throat, the thyroid. Feel a little twist there. Just simply receive your breath and relax on your out breath. Now slide your hands in under your shoulders, push to come up. Okay, and then as we start to come up and turn, we're going to sit on a blanket stack. So move your bolster to the right side. You could use the round or the standard size bolster for this one to lean into. I don't know, the round bolster might roll away. You can play with it. The nice thing about the round ones is they're higher, generally a little bit higher, so it'll be easier for you to lean into it. That's the reason. Okay, so I'm sitting on two folded blankets, and then I'm going to take my blocks, and I'm not going to stack them, but I'm going to place them over to the right side and then put my bolster on top, right? So you could see how if you have a round bolster, when you lean into it, it's going to be easier, okay? So maybe that's what you want. Okay, it's okay to take it easy. Okay, now I'm going to stretch my right leg underneath the bolster where the blocks are in between. And I'm going to put a ball under my knee because I'm never a fan of hyperextension. So you might need a ball under this knee though. You might go, wait a minute, I think I need something under this knee. So try to sit up and back on the blanket so it helps you. Now, if this ain't working for your knee, you could definitely have this leg straight over to the left side. It's just that you might need something under it. So this is one where we might need more blankets, I suppose. Okay, so have that knee reaching out, and then sandbag can go on top of the left thigh or under if you don't have extra props to put under your knee. It's just more important that your knee is protected than that you have sand on your thigh. So if this is better for you to put sand under it, then that's what you do. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Okay, better to have a happy knee than a loaded thigh. Okay, so take a twist to your left, rotate at the ribs. We were just doing all this rib motion. So I'm turning left. I'm going to reach to the left knee with my right hand. And when I turn, I'm going to basically hold onto my knee, now my kneecap. So that's just one of those bones in that leg, but you could also be above the knee to the thigh or below. Okay, I'm just going to hold it. And then as I turn, this is all I can do right now. I can only go this far around. So as I reach through the rib spaces with my breath, that's about where I'll focus, is breathing, ribs expand, and relax. Just take a few moments here because you're kind of winding up, right? All the energy around the organs, you're winding it up, energizing that flow of lymph because of the stretch and the breathing. Okay, now I usually visualize for some reason like I'm throwing a frisbee on this one, but I know we're not throwing frisbees. But as we lean to the right, I let my left arm rest behind my back, and then I reach my right arm over, kind of like you get a frisbee, you're going to throw it to that bolster, and I place my elbow on top. This is why the round bolster could be easier, right? Because it's like, oh, it's a little higher, it's just perfect. So I lean down, okay, and I place my head into my right hand, and my left arm could stay behind my back. That's where I like to keep it, or I can try to reach it overhead. But the focus is about openings in the body, not stretching and being flexible and restorative. So if you find that, wow, this is surprisingly challenging, what the heck would you do, right? You can make your blocks under your, you could turn them a little higher under your bolster, right? This is only the second setting. So I could put my blocks up, and then the bolster is easier to reach to with my arm, right? Okay, that actually feels a little better for me. So I'm going with that. So it's not about like, can I crease and lean and cause discomfort in my kidneys? No, not a good idea. But it's good to feel that squeeze in that area. Like I feel some circulation. It's just an area we don't get a lot of that in the side leaning. So take a few more moments here. We don't want to suck all the energy out of this area, but we want to feel some circulation. Breathing. Okay, now for a good part. We're going to come on up, get our bolster, reach forward with the bolster straight forward, and I'm just going to put my hands on the short end of it, lift up my sternum, so chest up, and then lean forwards. Okay, now of course some of us might have the dreaded curve in our upper back, like the hump in the back, so you want to feel your hands on the short end and maybe not go as far down, like leaning, like your extreme stretch. You just kind of are right in the middle, and you're trying to get the ribs to expand, right? So you're always trying to get the ribs bigger, like a bigger middle, like not like belly, but like into the ribs. Leaning forwards. The less is more probably for our back stuff, you know, because we're all dealing with that in our back. Okay, so as you come back up, and part of it's our back is the back muscles are anti-gravity muscles. So it's good to kind of use them to kind of train yourself to come back, center, back up, not round forward when you're doing your practice as much as you can. Okay, now switch sides, right knee bends, left leg goes out. And I'm just going to put the ball under my right knee because it's there. Get my blocks on the left side. I'm going for the high block. It's not martial arts class, but I have my blocks high. Yep. I think that's better for me. Yeah, remember, gentle is the new advanced. So I got no problem getting my leg under it because there's so much height. Okay, and then ball goes under the left knee. I think you need some cushion under the knee. Even if you feel like I've got the greatest knees on the planet. Well, you say that. Be careful, right? So for me, I feel the sand on my thigh. I like this a lot because when I lean, it helps me get the traction. But I wanted something under my leg. So you could even put the sandbag so it's under the fibula, the bone on the side of the lower leg, the side of the calf. You could put it's hurting my knee to move there, but you could put your sand here too. It doesn't have to be just under the knee. You can kind of pull it in and use that. Okay. Take a turn to your right, let the spine do its movements. You can do a little bit of rotation, and then right hand back, left hand to the knee. Now, I can touch the floor with my fingers, but not the palm. And I'm going to go with that. Some of us will have our arm reaching behind our back. Okay? But if you look at your shoulder when you do this, it rolls in. It's going to just roll in. So probably touching back and moving it back is a good idea. Okay. All right, now we're gonna lift the left arm up, bring the right hand to the back, and reach it over, throw the frisbee kind of sort of down to that bolster. And if the bolster if you're having trouble getting your torso to reach over, slide the blocks, pull it all in closer to you. Just kind of pull in your bolster bench. And then when you lean down with your elbow on the bolster, head resting into your hand, your right arm could just stay on your back. It doesn't have to go up. So that lower back quadrant of the waist, just gently stretching, reaching in the torso, breathing. Right. Sometimes moving the arm up might feel kind of good, like, oh, I like that. I feel and just feeling ways that our extremities are deeply connected with muscles to the spine. I mean, sometimes I feel like my hand is kind of far away from my spine. What does it have to do with having my back stretch? But we can kind of feel all those connections. And then bring your right arm back and bring yourself up and take your bolster forward. This time, you're just simply going to lean. And I would say, have it still with one leg out and one leg bent if you can. If you cannot do this with the leg bent, period, you can definitely have both legs reaching. I'll show that. So if you're not going to have the legs bending, you can bend them to the point where the heels are on the mat and you're leaning forward. Okay? I think I'm going to go to this one before we go to our back. So you could have your feet on the edge. You could circle your feet a little bit so they're a little bit turned out. But the focus is your spine. So you're leaning forward to stretch out of the back. Both feet right now are on the mat. Knees are bending. It's the energy of like a squat, right, with the torso leaning down. Okay, now come back and then turn your bolster across the mat at the base where your feet are going to go on it. And you're going to slide down off the blankets and put your legs up on the bolster. And then move down to one blanket, if that, for this one. If that. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put our blanket. I'm going to just push mine all the way to the back and figure that out when I get back there. And lower back, feet on the bolster as I mentioned, but now knees bending. And then take your ball, center of the knees, and feel your knees, and go like a blanket, moving in towards your chest. Kind of feel where in my back am I going to attain this flexibility? So, spine and then the muscles along the sides of it, there's another place to bring focus, right? So feeling that squeeze, and there's only so much you can do with your lower back, right? It's like there's a limit here, okay? So bring your arms overhead, if that works for you. If not, you can have them in goalposts, elbows to the sides. And then hopefully that bolster's below you. You're going to lower down your feet on the bolster. If it's not there for you, just kind of reach with your heels and pull it in closer. Okay. Now, feet on bolster. Lift your hips up. Okay, the blanket not under the center of the back of your skull and above, not under your neck. And then you're going to lower down the spine and bring your arms down with your spine lowering process. So the hands are besides the hips. Okay. No knees to chest. You're going to lift the hips up, arms overhead. We'll get knees to chest in a little bit, but we're just progressively, we're moving along the spine. Okay, feel maybe right behind the heart when you center down, and then you lengthen down, and inhale with the hips getting to go up. Stretch your arms back overhead. And exhale as you lower down. Inhale as you reach up. Push into the ball a little bit. Squeeze into the ball. Okay, now as you lower down, really kind of try to milk this lengthening from behind the heart down to the kidneys. It's like a little bit of an abdominal squeezing here, right? You're just lowering, just kind of sacrificing the core just to get the back to touch down. And then when you bring your knees in, take the ball and then place the feet back on the bolster. Lift your hips up into bridge, but roll the ball under the sacrum. So base of the spine. And then land on it. You truly land on the ball before you roll. Okay, like, got all my weight on. Okay, there we go, all of it. I'm not holding back, I'm just on the ball. And then we're gonna move our hips side to side. So massaging and, well, shearing the sacrum, okay, to start. Okay, now as you move your hips, and you can kind of feel the pressure at the border of the sacrum. All, just think of pelvis. It's just circulation in the pelvis. We'll just say that. Simple, simple. Okay. All right. And now as we kind of press in and we start to stimulate the skin, right? So that top layer, the surface of the muscle as well, a little deeper because we're putting weight on it. Then I want you just to push into your feet, lift the hips and move the ball to the left rear. And you're just going to lean into it. And you want to feel the curves and the contours of your hip here. So you let your weight lower down on the round ball. I mean, all of them are in that contour stage of life unless they've been popped. And so as you push in, you get the benefit of that sweep across the muscle, right? Across the glute zone. So feel as the glutes get a nice sweeping. It is kind of that lymph sweep. Okay. And so as I tug in, I have a range of motion in this. I can't go further than a certain point, and it's like, it's up. So take the left foot up, cross it to the right knee, take a moment here, and then see if you can just do some smaller side to sides with that left buttock, right? The pressure on the ball, massaging right into the connector of the hip. I find when I do the little movements, sometimes I get a little more click in my other hip. So, it's not a bad thing, but just notice the things that wake things up, that spark some energy into the bones, into the muscle patterns, mostly the bones. Okay, and then we just uncross, and we go to side two, and just roll the ball to the right rear. And you want it to be in the, kind of thickest part. So you might feel, okay, ball is in the rear. It's not in the tailbone. It's in the soft tissue. And you got to put all the weight you want. And if you want to bring it in figure four as you're rolling, like you want to put the foot onto the knee, cross it over, so you can get more of that kind of curve rolling. It doesn't feel like you're just dropped on the ball. Go for it. You're going to have to wait for the instruction. Okay. You're free to do that. And you might even find that different movements of the leg are even better, like maybe stretching the leg down and you kind of move your hip around, you kind of circle. It's a ball and socket joint. So you're going to find, oh, this moves in other areas. And you don't have to be flexible at all to do this one. This is the best one for anybody. Like it's great for flexibility, rolling. You don't have to feel like I can't quite do the pose, or it is easy to draw across. Okay. Okay, now, as we draw back in towards center, we're going to take the bolster over to the right side, and we're going to just kick it to the right and cross the left leg over to that bolster. Ball can stay at the sacrum. Left arm can open. And you can add a sandbag to the outer left thigh with maybe in the beginning, right away, maybe you just take a little time. Okay, I think in the beginning works best for me. I'm used to using a sandbag on this revolved core pose. But feeling as you lengthen, I just want my hip to feel a little length. It's kind of stuck in the middle, right? It's like I got a leg and then I got the pelvis and on top that pushes down on my hip, and yeah, it's a funny lineup of things, right? So this is a great opportunity to get some stretch into your back, into your belly, into the organs. So let's soak up the final spinal here. Feel the waist and notice where does it turn. That you might feel the twist in the ribs. You might not. You might just feel like, oh, my hip is stretching a bit. And then let the breath, not only feeling like it's slow and stretching, but notice the rib space moving with the breath. Take a moment just to trace the feeling of the weight of the left thigh over to the bolster, maybe even touch to the sandbag for a moment, feeling that traction in the hip. And then we start to move our head back center. If it was turned, we take the sand off the hip, and then we take the ball out. And then simply as you move your knees side to side, right, you can grab a hold of the bolster. I would say no knees to chest until you finish, right? So we don't want to shock the sacrum. We have one side that we twisted in the sacroiliac. So let's be fair to sacroiliac too. Okay. Bolster on left side, bend the left knee and cross the right leg over. Okay, and kind of feel the pressure on the bones. That's clearly one of the points of this is that we put the weight, we try to let it rest onto the bones. We might add the sandbag to the outer right thigh. I'm a fan of the ball at the back of the pelvis. I think I finally decided I kind of like that. You kind of have to nudge it in as an anchor. When I don't have it, then I miss it. Okay, but you do have to kind of stuff it there. And it might not work right higher up. It might not. You might find one side doesn't work like the other. They are two different sides. And as we center the heart and we open out that right arm and let your head maybe roll to the right. And just feeling the movements of the breath. That will likely feel ribs, right? If you feel breath, right? Breath is a lymphatic pump in itself, right? So ways that we can affect, not infect, but affect the lymph, right? Would not only be our movements, our shapes, our inversions, our twists, but also our breathing, conscious breathing, slow, steady. Okay, now moving the sand in the ball and coming into legs up the wall. So you could have legs up the wall for your final inversion of choice. You can also have your legs up on the bolster bench. So as you turn, make it easy on your back to come up and then take the bolster up against the wall all the way to it, unless you like the block between the bolster and the wall. My teacher uses a block, so it's easier on the hamstrings. So if you're finding that you would like a bolster bench, what do? You put your blocks under the bolster. I know some of you know this one, but you got your blocks like we did earlier with our leg under, right? You would do that. You wouldn't do this and then come up the wall. But I've never tried it, so what do I know? I've never tried the bolster bench and coming up upside down at the wall. That would be entertaining. So grab your blankets, grab an eye pillow if you have one, and as you come up to the wall, those of us wallsters, we're going to roll on the sacrum. Now, when I roll on the sacrum, I want to settle the back of my pelvis as far down the bolster edge as I can. So this is why I sometimes will push my heels, just move it a little bit back and just kind of play with it. I bet, you think you got it down, and then there's other things you could, kind of tinker around with to make this even better. And if you have a sandbag, place it on the feet. If you're not going to use your sand in this last pose, that's okay. It's nice to have it for those of us that don't have our legs up the wall, from your heart to your belly. And that's a good one. A sandbag from the heart to the belly for the diaphragm motion, right? It's a perfect diaphragmatic, right, track. All right, so you can have a blanket on the core. You can swallow yourself a little bit, and then arms are open. Okay, and feeling as you center the back of the heart, that the arms open out and the back of the heart relaxes. And that's the spine, right? That's the spine is right behind the heart. Not much room for something else. So receiving your breath and relaxing on your out breath. Just let it go. And just feel the movement and the quality of your breath. It's a good thing to notice anytime you're just not sure. Just notice the quality of your breath. Relaxing the face, the bones around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Now, if you have sand on the feet, you're going to first shift the legs away from the wall and bend the knees and take the sand off. And then let the legs come back up. They could be in a form of apart a little bit more than they were before because they had sand on them. That might feel kind of refreshing for the feet. Anything where they can just kind of drain, the legs can drain, and the feet can feel a little bit of refreshment. Refresh the legs and the feet. Now, even if you're on bolster bench, you can bring your knees in and let the legs go up too. You're not out of the ability to do that, right? But as we start to shift, we'll bring the legs a little closer, just the right amount. And then as you guide your thighs in towards your chest, if you have the blanket, I like the teaching where you actually have a blanket kind of tucked into the abdominal span, the organs, and you squeeze the legs in to massage the organs. I like that. It's a little uncomfortable for breathing. It's a lot of pressure, right? And I do like that massage there. I'll take any abdominal massage that I can get with yoga because I think it's where it's comfortable to do it is in yoga. And then we just roll to the side. Roll, roll, roll your ribs. Take a seat on the bolster. Let the legs stretch outwards with the knees. And you might not even feel this is a hip opener, but it certainly is. Just cross-legged is a hip opener on its own. Let the shoulders center back. Let the brain gently lift from the arch of the neck. And then bring your hands to your heart center. Palms to palms or palms pressing into heart. Let the belly relax and feel the energy in the body drop into unity here together.